Well, hello everyone. Here we are after the international break. Football is back, and that means the English Football League Championship is back with a bang, of course. Let's hope it continues to be as entertaining as it has been so far this season. So welcome back to the Football Overseas channel. Here we go with another few weeks of predictions and football and entertainment before we have another international break. But then at least it's the last one then until the spring, so we can have a good run at everything. So here we go then. We'll review what happened. We'll dip into one or two of the matches that happened just before the international break. One or two teams will have gone away happy, and as usual, some not so happy. So where are we in the league table? Where did that leave? It left Sunderland still proudly at the top as we go into game week 10. They drew their last match, and that was a 2-each draw with Leeds United. And probably one of the craziest goals of the season, if anyone can remember what happened in that match. I think it was the last minute of stoppage time. I watched the match, and it was the last minute of stoppage time. The goalkeeper had what appeared to everybody in the whole world a routine pickup. The ball was spinning a little bit in his defence, but he really didn't get behind it at all. He didn't allow for any eventuality really, and it just span through his legs somehow and gave Sunderland a 2-each draw when Leeds had really played well to come back from behind in that atmosphere and lead 2-1. So Sunderland nicked it at the end. So hopefully Leeds have shaken that off, and Sunderland will have taken that point against Leeds as a really good one, and it kept them at the top of the table, closely followed by Sheffield United, and it really is very close. They're also on 19 points. Sheffield United, by the way, unbeaten. So far, the only unbeaten team left in the league, in the division. And we also have still, unfortunately, at the bottom, Portsmouth without a win. They're over that horrendous. I say horrendous. It was just a tough old fixture list. You couldn't have hardly cherry-picked 7 more difficult fixtures, but I think they've got a bit sort of tangled up with that, and thinking it's almost like a relief to get past it. And I think that relief came out in that awful result at Stoke when they lost 6-1, and they will be disappointed not to have held on against Oxford, having taken the lead, but we can look at all that as we go through. So they have an interesting fixture, as you'll find out a bit later this coming weekend. So here we go then. It's more of the same, I think. It's exciting stuff all the way down. Only 10 points separate the top 19 places, or 11 points to the top 21, with then the bottom 3 and the bottom 3. So it's just tight, as it always is. Every point, every goal counts, etc., etc. So we start again on Friday. Leeds again starting the Friday night fun. They're home to Sheffield United. So Sheffield United, as I say, the only unbeaten side, and I think that may well go this Friday night. As I say, Leeds had that chastening 2-each draw in the end against Sunderland, where Sheffield United had a routine 2-0 home win against luckless Luton at the moment. So I think Leeds United will get back to winning ways. It'll be a great match to start the weekend off, under lights at Ellen Road, on the TV, full house, Yorkshire Derby. What more can we want after 2 weeks of inactivity? So let's go then. Leeds United to sneak it. Leeds United 2, Sheffield United 1. And then we go into the Saturday matches. Excuse me. 3, 4, 12:30 kickoffs. Sorry, I was usually 3. I see. I just quickly saw it's 4. The first of those is Cardiff against Plymouth Argyle. Cardiff City against Plymouth Argyle. Plymouth Argyle home form is excellent, isn't it? They beat Blackburn last night 2-1. They've already beaten Luton, and they've already beaten Sunderland at home park. All by the no, I think it was 3-1 against Luton, 3-2 against Sunderland, or 2-1 against Sunderland, and 2-1 against Blackburn. So they are certainly showing that their first opening season drubbing against Sheffield Wednesday was almost just like getting to know each other, and now they know each other and they understand what Wayne Rooney wants, then they are making a mark. At home, it should be emphasised, with Wayne Rooney getting sent off, I believe, or just asked to go to the stands or whatever. So he's certainly showing his passion for the cause. Cardiff City had a 1-1 draw at Bristol City. They're probably a bit disappointed they were got in front at Ashton Gate for a while. And so looking at their first away win of the season. However, Bristol City clawed it back and got a draw out of it. So it's Cardiff against Plymouth, and I think another draw is on the cards. I think Plymouth will go there full of confidence with their home form behind them, but they just need to, they haven't quite transferred that into away wins yet. Cardiff, I believe, will stabilise a little bit. They're still bottom, but they've won and drawn their last couple of games, and they will want to get something out of this match to keep that little unbeaten run going. So I'm going to go Cardiff City 1, Plymouth Argyle 1. Then we have another sort of derby down on the M1, south area of the M1. Luton Town against Watford. And Luton can't really, they're going one step forward and two back at the moment, unfortunately, in their season. So this will be a lively affair, being a local game, a localish game anyway. Luton, as I say, were brushed aside by Sheffield United. And Watford had an excellent 2-1 win over Middlesbrough. Every time you think they're going to slip up, Watford, they spring back into action and show their worth. I think it'll be a tough one here. Although Watford are in the playoff section, the playoff bracket, I think Luton will have had 2 weeks to really sort of assess where they are. The manager and a little bit of pressure. I know that sounds crazy after what he's done for the club overall, but it's a results business, and Luton aren't really getting them at the moment. They're just above the relegation line, no win in 3, and generally a sort of an indifferent start to the season. So I'm going to go Luton to get the fans singing again at Kenilworth Road. Luton Town 2, Watford 0. Then we have Oxford United against West Bromwich Albion. Now, West Bromwich Albion have let their advantage slip at the top of the table. They haven't won in 3, and if I'm right in my ageing memory is serving me right at the moment, they haven't scored a goal in that time either. And they drew a blank against Millwall. Now, Millwall, as you might recall, were leaking goals right, left and centre at the very start of the season. 7 in the first 2 matches, as I remember. So they've really shorn up their defence and got themselves so organised. Only 4 goals conceded in the last 7 matches. So they have got their defensive work up to speed, but it's sort of taken away their attacking intent, possibly. But a really good point. Never mind about that. That's a jolly good win up at a jolly good point they gained. Sorry, up at West Bromwich Albion. So Oxford, as I say, drew with Portsmouth. They went down to Portsmouth in what's always a difficult atmosphere, but at the moment Portsmouth just aren't getting over the line. And as I say, I just think Portsmouth have just got their mindset all wrong. But I will chat a bit more about that when we get to their fixture. So Oxford against West Brom. Oxford's home record's been pretty good. They've drawn 0-0 with Burnley, they beat Luton, so they've picked up some notable results. And I think this is a chance for them to not to lose at least. I'm going to go Oxford United 1, West Bromwich Albion 1. Then we have Preston North End and Coventry. Now, 2 sides at the moment are just not really making any mark at all as such. Preston will say, well, hang on a minute, we've come back quite well after a poor start. But just the 1 loss in the last 5. And Coventry, just when you think they've got it get going again, they slip back as they did when they lost at home to Sheffield Wednesday before the break. So that was a bit of a surprise for me. Preston, I've forgotten how they got on. Oh, they drew 0-0 with Burnley, that's right. So that was another notable point for them. Yes, an excellent point for them, in fact. against Burnley in that local derby atmosphere, so they'll be pleased to have survived that. So how will they get on against Coventry? I think it's as I say, it's the battle of the unpredictables, really. Who knows what they're going to do? I think Preston's home form or home advantage may just win the day in a scrappy old game. I think this one. I don't because both sides will be desperate not to lose, and that always creates a bit of an intensity that doesn't allow for the flowing football that any side might want to play. So I'm going to go Preston North End 1, Coventry City 0. Then we have Blackburn Rovers against Swansea, and Blackburn, as I say, were victim of Plymouth's excellent home form and the atmosphere they're building down there in home games. It really is excellent. If you get a chance to see, just dip into one of their matches and see what they're doing. It's excellent. And Wayne Rooney's really got it all going down at Home Park at the moment. And Swansea, again, a bit of an indifferent start, but they could say, well, we're on an even keel, 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses. Only 8 goals scored in 9 matches, and probably that's where it's letting them down a bit in games. And I don't think they're going to get much joy at Blackburn. Blackburn will want to recover after their loss down at Plymouth. They slipped out the playoff periods, but as I say, it's so tight. It's just margins, really. But they have lost the last couple, so they want to quickly stop that rot. So I'm going to go Blackburn Rovers 2, Swansea City 0 in that Saturday game. Now, next we have Middlesbrough against Bristol City. And before we go into the match itself, I think everybody in the world of football will have who's heard the news about the Bristol City head coach, Liam Manning. He lost his baby son, his newborn baby son, this week. So very sad times at Ashton Gate. And we all send, I think, our best wishes and condolences to their family. Football, the sort of the rivalry and everything else just goes out the window, doesn't it? When something is sad and as horrible as this happens to anybody. The football is a family, after all. Sometimes we don't perhaps appreciate that. So condolences to the Manning family. He's taking time away from the club, understandably. So it's going to be left to Chris Hogg to take the reins for a period of time until Liam Manning is ready to face all of this again. He just needs to take his time. So we just had to put that. I think it was right to mention that while we're talking about their match. Bristol City, as I say, sort of again, they've only lost twice, but they've drawn 5, and it's too many draws if you're going to make any impression towards the top of the table. And I think this is a really tough game with all that's gone on, as I say. But notwithstanding that, this is a really tough match for Bristol City. Middlesbrough are pretty solid at home. They lost their last match against Watford. They want to put that right. I think they'll just edge this one. I'm going to go Middlesbrough 2, Bristol City 1. Then we go on to the match between Millwall and Derby. Derby, yeah, doing pretty nicely, thank you. They'll be happy with their results they've picked up so far. 12th place, no draws yet on the coupon, as you might say. 4 wins and 5 losses. But I think they arrested their sort of 3-loss, slightly worrying 3-loss run with a 2-0 win over Queen's Park Rangers. And Millwall had that excellent draw at West Brom. So I think another 0-0 maybe on the cards here. Derby will be wanting just to pick up something from the match, just to keep their points total ticking over. Millwall, as I say, have got this newfound defensive solidity, having been leaking goals like a tap at the start of the season. So they've turned that round. I think those two forces combining will mean it'll be Millwall 0, Derby County 0. 4 matches to go, and here's a crunch one coming up now. Queen's Park Rangers versus Portsmouth. Now, as I say, Portsmouth have had this mindset that life will become a little bit easier once you get past once they got past those first 7 matches as they saw it. I think they read a little bit too much into that. I think the messaging wasn't quite right. from within and without the club, if you like. These teams they're playing, yes, they're near the bottom of the table. Yes, they're sides that they need to get points off. The Oxfords, the Queen's Park Rangers, the Luton, Coventry, Preston, all those sides that the Stoke that they slipped up badly against. But they are established Championship sides. They know what they're doing, even though they're struggling a little bit at the moment. Whereas Portsmouth have been away from the scene for so long. The gap, I think, is probably a bit more than they all thought at Fratton Park, possibly. As I say, as you know, I live in Portsmouth, so I hear all the noise that's going on down there quite readily. And I think they're just starting to realise, hang on a minute, it's not as easy. The top teams are the top teams, but the rest are pretty damn good as well, in as much that they've got Championship experience. And QPR are one of those teams. Now, Queen's Park Rangers, disappointing me totally at the moment. I really thought Martí Cifuentes was going to make his mark in the Championship this year, but 1 win in 9, 3 losses on the trot. Everyone's a little bit restless down at QPR at the moment. So they will see this, as do Portsmouth, I can assure you, see this as a game that is... I don't like must-wins. That's another thing Portsmouth did in the last match. They created a must-win culture around it, and they didn't win. What happens then? So I hate the must-win analogy or must-win predictions. Because what happens if you don't? And after 9 games in, nothing's must-win. It was a nonsense thing to do. Anyway, I understand why they did it, but it was the wrong message. So QPR and Portsmouth, I think QPR will actually edge them. I think Portsmouth's woes will still continue. It'll be tight because they'll really go there, having reset themselves in the last 2 weeks. I'm going to go Queen's Park Rangers 2, Portsmouth 1. 3 matches to go, the first of which is Sheffield Wednesday versus Burnley. Sheffield Wednesday, as I say, had an excellent 2-1 win down at Coventry. And Burnley had a sort of a drab, frustrating 0-0 draw against their local rivals, Preston. So where does that leave this match? I don't really know, if I'm honest. I'm going to sit on the fence. Sheffield Wednesday won 2 out of 3, their last 3, so they'll be hoping to keep that run going. Nicely 15th. They don't want the pressures that they had last year of relegation. If you remember, it was the last day survival. And Burnley have let they've only lost the 1 game, as we know, but they've just drawn a couple in the last 3, stopped scoring goals, and it's a little bit... we'll see what the 2 weeks has done for them. So I'm going to go a 1 each draw. As I said, I can't pick a winner here. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Burnley 1. Now we have Stoke City against Norwich City. Norwich City found their goal scoring form and finally managed to keep a clean sheet. So all in all, that came to a 4-0 win over Hull City. And Hull City could go either way at the moment, and is in, what I mean by that is that they've won 3, lost 3 of their last 6. So which way will the pendulum swing for them this weekend? We shall find out in their match. But they were trumped by Norwich City last time out, Norwich winning 4-0. And Stoke City, having put 6 past Portsmouth on the previous Tuesday night, when it came to the Saturday or the Sunday, whatever it was, they were drew a blank against Swansea. So they'll probably be disappointed they didn't share those 6 goals around a little bit differently over the 2 matches. But that is football. That's the way it goes. And I think Norwich now will tick a little bit. They clicked into gear against Hull, given a lot of chances admittedly, but they took enough of them to win the match 4-0. So I'm going to go Stoke City 1, Norwich City 2. And finally, last but as I always say, never least, we have Hull City, the aforementioned Hull City, against Sunderland. So we have the side that doesn't quite know where the season's going at the moment, with, again, 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses, conceding a few goals at the moment, 4, as I say, against Norwich, and Sunderland obviously sitting down very proudly over the last 2 weeks of the break, having got that crazy point in the last minute against Leeds. So I think this will be an entertaining game. I think Hull's defensive frailties, especially in 13 in 9 games, will be severely tested against Sunderland. But Hull are not shy of a goal or 2 themselves. They'll be at home, decent crowd on Sunday afternoon. So I'm going to take an entertaining draw. I'm going to go Hull City 2, Sunderland 2. So there we have it. We're back. It's back. Football is back. And the leagues are all back on for a few more weeks. So we have one more enforced international break. So as always, please like, subscribe, and tell everybody about this excellent YouTube channel. Football Overseas is at your service once again. That's my predictions for game week 10, as it is. There's a full programme, I believe, next midweek. So I will be back early next week to review how everybody got on over the weekend, and obviously to predict the matches for next midweek. It's a full programme, so there will be a worthy prediction clip to give you the information. Okay, everybody, have a great weekend. Enjoy football being back, and I will see you again very soon. Thanks very much.